Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to Fuji X-T3 filming today on the 23mm f1.4. We're going classic chrome, a little more, rustic look. We've still got the browns of the painting and the chair and the iPhone case with the little buffalo on it. You see the little buffalo? Little bison. I got that when I got my first pair of cowboy boots almost a year ago, living in Texas for 45 years or so, and never had a pair of cowboy boots until last year. I went with the Tacovas. If anyone's ever wondering about cowboy boots, I mean, go look whatever you want, but there's this YouTube channel called Rose Anvil, and it's this guy who just cuts boots and shoes. Really work boots more is what he does, but he'll just take them in half. So here's a boot. He'll just take a saw to it, and then you have a cross section of the inside, the cushioning, the heel, the upper, just whatever shoe parts are. I don't know. This guy does know, and he just does all kinds of stuff. But I was looking at the cowboy boot stuff, and Tacovas is a brand that started out mostly as an online brand. If you ever look up anything online about cowboy boots, you'll probably find ads from them, and then you'll see them everywhere because that's how the internet works. And it was started, I think they're based in, I forget where they're based, maybe in Austin, but they make their boots in this boot making part of Mexico where the hand crafting goes back a long time. And anyway, the guy that founded it was a guy that went to my son's school a while before my son did, so that's how I had heard of it. And then when I saw Rose Anvil take his saw to the boot cross section, and he gave it a thumbs up as to the quality for the price and how they don't cut corners. That's what I did. And anyway, that was a bit of a digression. Brown and leather, those are two things that I like. Hopefully this video will give us a good indication of some of the quality here of an older camera with a newer lens. And while we do that, we can talk a little bit about street photography in downtown Dallas that I did today. I go to Fort Worth mostly. It's close, and Fort Worth is much smaller than Dallas. I worked in Dallas in downtown starting in 2006 for some jobs. I worked at some corporate offices. I was a finance, financial systems guy, also did financial planning, things like that. And my love is history. And so when I found myself on a contract job in downtown Dallas, I ended up being hired on permanently there and stayed there around 4 years. I was just making the most of being in downtown Dallas, and I would walk to the public library, which was not too far away, the main branch, and they had an exhibition for the company I was working at. It was the 100th anniversary of that company. It was Neiman Marcus. I'm sure many of you have heard of that, but they were founded in Dallas 1906, 1907, something like that. And they had an exhibit at the library, the public library, which they also had one of the original copies of the one of the original versions of the Declaration of Independence there, and also some Shakespeare original portfolio. These things are priceless, and they're just sitting there at the Dallas Public Library on the 5th or 6th floor, I forget which, just sitting there. Anyone could go in and take a look at it. It wasn't under lock and key or tight security or anything. I remember going to Washington, D.C. years and years ago, and there was a line to see their copy at wherever it was, the Smithsonian or wherever it was, of the Declaration of Independence. And there was just a line of people, just all lined up to slowly file by it and look at it under glass and security, probably bulletproof glass, armed guards. And then you'd walk out. Whereas here, it was just the downtown Dallas library. You just walk in, nobody's there. Take a look at it. I mean, you can't touch it or anything, but I think it's a little bit different situation now. But back in 06, 07, that's how it was. Anyway, there was a lot of history of Dallas, and a lot of history. Neiman Marcus was a part of that, right there downtown. And so I've always been familiar with some historical landmarks in Dallas. The next company I was at, right at the bottom, on the street of that building was called the Bryan Tower, just right on the street corner there. If you're ever in an old downtown, look down at the ground. Make sure you do that, because sometimes there's markers on the ground. And there was a marker on the corner there, and I don't know, I'd probably been working there a year or more before I ever noticed this marker. I was just waiting for someone to come by and pick me up for lunch, I think. And I'm looking around and I look at the ground, and there was this little whatever metal marker in the sidewalk, and it said, "This is where Doc Holliday's dental practice was when he was moving from further east, or Missouri or something, I forget where he came from. Came across through Dallas, went through Fort Worth, went to Tombstone, Arizona, obviously, was in Denver for a time. But when he was in Dallas, and he was into things he shouldn't have been into in Dallas too, the gambling and the drinking, there were strange rules around this. It was, you could drink and you could gamble, but you couldn't do them in the same place or on the same floor of a building. So you might see the gambling upstairs and the drinking downstairs, or something like that. That's how Dallas was. And I'm sure other cities were, but it was right there. He was a dentist, so that's why he was Doc Holliday. He was Dr. Holliday, and then he moved on. So where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is there is way more stuff in Dallas than in Fort Worth. Fort Worth has all the history with Cowtown and with the cattle drives and with Hell's Half Acre, the railroads, just all sorts of stuff. But there's just more in Dallas. The downtown is, I spent well over 2 hours today just going up and down the streets, whatever caught my eye. And I was out there pretty early this morning. It was pretty chilly, and I was there for maybe 2.5 hours. Didn't take any video, just shot pictures with the Nikon. And again, the zoom, the 24-120 of the Nikon really saved the day. When you're taking pictures of maybe some ornamental flourishes on top of buildings, or across the street that you want to maybe get some people in the picture as well. So maybe you want to go wider, so you can go all the way out. That lens really saved the day today, and I brought them into Lightroom. Just quick auto edits for there, and they made them really great. There's some sculptures of longhorns, and this was pretty cool. There is an area called Pioneer Plaza, I believe. If you ever watch NFL football games and you ever watch the Dallas Cowboys, who actually play in Arlington, my hometown, they are the Dallas Cowboys. And so whenever Sunday Night Football is there, or Monday Night Football, or anyone, they will do shots of Dallas. And a lot of times they will have shots of this longhorn sculpture. It's like a herd of longhorns kind of coming down a hill, going across a little river setting. They're bronze. They're huge. They're life size. And some guys that look like old Remington sculptures, guys on horseback, that were rounding them up and fording them across a river. That sculpture is in a place called, I think it's Pioneer Plaza, next to the convention center downtown. So that was my first stop this morning. I had driven by it many times on the way into work, as I worked downtown for about 11 years. And just getting out on foot and seeing it up close, There's also an old cemetery, maybe the oldest or one of the oldest cemeteries in Dallas. Pioneer Cemetery it was called, with people born, I don't know, around 1800, early 1800s, and died in the 1800s, most of them. Some of them up to, I think, 1920s were the latest dates of death. And it was just cool being there with the camera and taking pictures. And the Nikon really came through for me today, so I was happy about that. I'll be including those pictures in this video. I know in my last video I said, hey, at the end we'll have pictures, but what I ended up doing with that video was just including the pictures as we went. So by the time we got to the end of the video, I still had pictures from the Fort Worth night and the day last week, but I mean, I don't know, it just felt like I had already included quite a few pictures in there. So in this one, I just want to look at some pictures. So we're going to do that now. We're going to look at, I'll throw a few in that I wanted to include from the other night in Fort Worth, and then some from a few day shots in Fort Worth from last week. But then the majority of them will be Dallas from today. Or by the time you watch this video, it won't be today anymore. And I'll have quite a few of them, and I'll talk through some of them as we look at them, and I think that will be pretty cool. It's something I haven't really done before here, so looking forward to that. That's really all I have for you now, and let's get into the pictures.